and welcome to Let's Cook. Today we are going to be making a carrot cake with cream cheese frosting all in our microwave oven. So please follow along and I'm going to show you what ingredients you need first. Alright, so what you're going to need to make your carrot cake and your cream cheese frosting. So first, for the cream cheese frosting, you are going to need 10 tablespoons, which is about 92 grams of powdered sugar. You will need 4 tablespoons or 64 grams of cream cheese. You want this to be at room temperature. Do not have it too cold or too hot, room temperature. You also will need a tablespoon, which is about 14 grams of butter. This is also room temperature, not too cold, not too hot. And you will need about 3/8 of a teaspoon of vanilla. So it's about 2 grams of vanilla. So that is it for your cream cheese frosting. For the carrot cake itself, you are going to need 6 tablespoons, which is about 55 grams of flour. You will also need 2 tablespoons, so about 40 grams of maple syrup. You will need about a quarter teaspoon or a gram of baking powder, and an 1/8 a teaspoon, which is about a gram of salt, a quarter teaspoon of cinnamon, which is less than a gram, so I don't know how much it weighs, but it's a little small amount of cinnamon. You also will need 4 tablespoons of milk, so that's about 71 grams of milk, and 2 tablespoons or 30 grams of flavorless oil. So that's vegetable oil or canola oil. You don't want to use olive oil because then your cake will end up tasting a little bit too savory. You want to have a flavorless oil so that you can keep all the sweet stuff. You will also need a quarter teaspoon of vanilla and 3 tablespoons, which is about 30 grams of grated carrots for your carrot cake, of course. So that is it for your ingredients. For the items, the utensils you're going to be using, you will need some measuring spoons. I already measured all of mine out, but this is how I did it. I used my measuring spoons. If you don't have measuring spoons, you can also use a kitchen scale. That's why I gave you the grams. So you can use this to check how many grams you need of each ingredient. To mix all of your stuff together, you are going to need a spoon and a fork and some kind of rubber spatula or scraping tool to help you with the cream cheese and the butter to get it off of the sides of your bowl. You will also need some kind of blending device. So I've got a mixer here. You can also use just a whisk, but that's going to be a little harder on you. So if you have an electric one, that's going to be better. And this is optional if you want to, a piping bag and piping tips. This is just if you want to make your cream cheese frosting look really pretty on the top. You don't have to, you can just spoon it on, it's going to taste the same. This is just in case you want that really good Instagram picture. Great, so that is all of the materials we need, so let's get started. Okay, so we are going to start off with our cream cheese frosting. So the first thing you need to do is you want to put your cream cheese and your butter into your mixing bowl. I recommend use a bowl that's a little too big, something that you're like, I don't need that much space, because as you're mixing it, it might start to go all over the place. So the bigger the bowl, the easier it'll be to keep it nice and neat and clean. Here we go. And our butter. All right, and here's where I'm going to use my electric mixer. Once again, if you don't have one at home, you can do this by hand, but it's going to be a lot harder to do it and it's not going to be as smooth. So, just going to do this. It might be a little bit noisy, so I might just put some music over the top. So I've got this all mixed up a little bit, and now we are going to add in our powdered sugar and our vanilla. So this powdered sugar is very light and airy, so if I just go like this, it's going to go poof everywhere. So you want to add it in really slowly and carefully. So I'm just going to kind of shake my bowl and let it drop in really slowly and carefully. There we go. Just gonna give that a few stirs. And just like when you're adding it in, you need to stir very carefully. Otherwise, like I said, it's gonna go flying everywhere and gonna make a big mess. So nice and slow, really gentle. Just kind of fold that in. And then you can add your vanilla into that. And once again, just fold that in really gently. It's going to take a little bit of time. It's not a fast process. There we go. That's starting to look good. And this cream cheese frosting is really good on carrot cake and red velvet cake, a lot of different kinds of cakes. So if you like this frosting and you want to try it with a different recipe, I highly recommend it. It's very, very good. All right, so that is our frosting all done. It looks really nice. So I'm going to get my hands cleaned up a little bit and we are going to start working on our carrot cake. Okay, now time to make our carrot cake. So we are going to take our microwavable mug and we're going to start combining our ingredients. So we have our dry ingredients. So these are things like our flour, our baking powder, salt, cinnamon, and we have our wet ingredients like the milk and oil, vanilla, and maple syrup. And then obviously we have our carrots. So we're going to start with the dry ingredients. We're going to go put all of those into our cup. Now, just like when we were making the frosting, the powders can go everywhere if you just throw it in there. So just want to try to gently do this. You don't want to make a huge mess everywhere. So I'm going to add in my flour first. Okay, and then I'm going to add my baking powder, my salts, and my cinnamon. I love cinnamon. It smells so good. Okay, and we're just going to take our fork and mix that all together. So you just want to make sure that all of those dry ingredients are spread evenly together. So just mix it up. Oh, the cinnamon smells so good. Alright, so there we go. We've got our dry ingredients mixed together, and now we're going to start to add in our wet ingredients. So I'm going to start with the milk. I'm just going to slowly pour that in and give it a little stir. I'm going to add in my oil. And keep stirring. And I'm going to add in my vanilla. And keep stirring. And my maple syrup. That smells good too. I'm just going to use my scraper. So the maple syrup's a little sticky, so just make sure you get all of it out of your measuring container. You don't want to waste any of that. And stir that up. If you don't have maple syrup, you can actually use brown sugar as a replacement for maple syrup. I will write down in the information section down below how much brown sugar you need. If you use the brown sugar, it's going to be a little less creamy, but it should still taste really good. I'm just going to keep blending this. And now you want to try to stir it until there's no more chunks. So see how I have big chunks of flour still? I don't want those. So I'm going to stir it as much as I can to get rid of those chunks. Alright, good. And now we are going to add in our carrots. Wouldn't be a carrot cake without carrots, right? So we're going to add in lots of yummy carrots. It helps if your carrots are chopped up or shredded nice and thin, because you don't want big chunks of carrots in your carrot cake. So the smaller you can cut them down, the better it'll be, the yummier it'll taste. You can also add in raisins if you want. A lot of people like raisins in their carrot cake, and it's really, really good. I like it too. I just didn't have any raisins today, so I'm not gonna add them. But if you have some at home, I do recommend adding those in. All right, give that a little bit more of a stir. And there we go. So that's our batter, and it is ready to go into our microwave. Okay, so now it is time for us to bake our cake. So we're gonna put it in the microwave. So each of our microwaves is a different wattage, so it might take a different amount of time for yours. I'm gonna start with 1 minute, and I'm gonna check it. If it's done, we're good. If not, I'm gonna give it 15 more seconds. I'm gonna keep checking it at 15-second intervals until it's done. The way you know it's done is you'll be able to put your finger at the top of the cake and it'll kind of bounce, and you'll have no batter left on your finger. That's how you know it'll be done. So I'm gonna put this in the microwave and see how we do. We just took this out of the microwave. It was in there for about 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Like I said, your oven microwave might be different than mine, so you might need to do a little longer or a little shorter, but make sure you do them in 15 seconds. If you do for too long, you might overcook and you might burn your food. So if you look, mine is kind of moves when I poke at it, and there's nothing left on my finger, so that's how I know it's done. So I'm gonna let this cool down just a little bit, and I'm gonna put my frosting on top, and I will see you at the end. Okay, so here we're back. I already put my frosting on top of my cake. Pretty easy. Like I said, you can use the piping bag if you want to, or you can just take a spoon and slap it on top of your cake. And just to let you know, if you put the frosting on right away after you take it out of the oven, it'll still taste fine, but the frosting is going to melt because the cake is really hot. So if you don't want your frosting to melt, if you want it to look nice, let the cake cool for a few minutes. You can put it into the fridge and let it sit there for about 5-10 minutes, or just eat it right away. It's okay if it's hot because it's going to taste really good. So let's see what this looks like on the inside. Yeah, so my cake was a little too hot, so you see my frosting all melted, but oh, that looks amazing. Let me smell it. It smells really, really good. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and I hope you try out this recipe. If you do, please, please, please send us pictures. I really want to see how they come out. So if you send us a picture on your homepage, we can put them up for everybody else to see and enjoy. So thank you very much for joining us today, and we will see you again next time. Bye-bye.